Okay, so back to floors. What? Bamboo, fir?
You know, bamboo is a great...
tell me about bamboo, because
bamboo is a quick growing
trendy.
product. It's very trendy. It's resilient. It's a very hard surface. It grows fast, so it's quickly renewable. So it's a great product for floors. Hardwood, you know, depending on the hardwood, if it's reclaimed hardwood, that's great. You can actually, with an engineered floor, it's a more stable surface because the plywood underneath is glued at opposing angles, so it doesn't expand and contract as much. And it's a narrow band of veneer of solid hardwood put onto a plywood base. So that's another way to make the hardwood go a little further. But when I talk green in general with people, I say think money. If you are spending less money on resources like heat, electricity, gas, you're saving money and you're using less resources as well. So that's lower impact and it's green in your pocket. So that's really the best way to be green, is reduce your consumption of basic services, of basic power.
Sure, but you do need a heated floor in the bathroom, don't you?
Yes, you do.
You have that in the dream house?
We do. We have, actually, Wednesday night, 11:30, I was laying floor tile. That's the main source of heating for the cabin up north. And it's about 2,500 square feet of Indian autumn chiseled slate. So
wow, chiseled
I'm hopped
slate.
up on Robaxaset right now. It's great.
I bet you are, because lifting chiseled slate. What
It's
about rockery in general, building a rock wall, new type of fireplace, what's in, what's out, river rock out, craggy in?
We're seeing everything right now. I mean, a lot of the homes that we're building now for spec and custom homes in Oakville are very open concept, high ceilings, very West Coast style is what we call it. You know, very flow, that Whistler cabin kind of feel.
Right.
A lot of raw materials like the granite and stone that we're using back east, limestone floors, those are coming in.
Limestone floors, really. I have a limestone shower. That was a bit of a mistake.
A bit of a mistake?
Well, it's beautiful, but it gets grungier, I think, than
a limestone's
the
very
shiny
porous.
tile.
Exactly, it's very porous, so you can seal it though to stop it from getting grungy, that type of thing. But soapstone's another great option as well. We did a soapstone steam shower in my own home, and it's a beautiful room, and it changes colors as it gets wet.
Really?
It does.
How lovely. What color is it? Like
it's
grayish?
it's a bluey green with
gray.
With
like what they carve, the Inuit carve?
Pretty much, yeah, but in a
soapstone,
tile
or?
form, and there's different colors from different mines, but it's
Stainless steel still in kitchens. Is there something else?
It is, but again, I always tell people when you walk into your kitchen, what's the most important thing that you see?
Splots and dots.
Splots and dots. See, to me, the kitchen doesn't matter. It's drywall and behind, because if your home is built properly, the kitchen you can change like a t-shirt, if you know what you're doing,
Really?
or you hire someone. But the house itself has to be built well to be efficient. And people put a lot of value on the granite countertops and the new cabinets and the floors. But realistically, what's important is the way your home is built, how efficient it is, how it's insulated, so that in our home, for example, we spend $50 a month heating in the winter. And it's -30 in Toronto.
What?
We have the windows open if we're cooking and have people over for dinner, because it's 80 degrees in the house.
You spend $50 a month heating?
That's heating and cooking. That's all our gas. That's our heating costs for the winter.
What's the secret?
The secret is, spray foam insulation is one. The 2-pound polyurethane, a closed cell foam that acts as a vapor barrier both sides of the wall. So again, you eliminate that problem of the cold air inside and condensation inside the wall cavity in the winter and in the summer. It's making your home tight, but having that HRV to exchange air and also exchange the heat on the way in and out.
Because we all go back to the urea formaldehyde.
Yes, well, that's been dealt with now.
Oh, and asbestos has been dealt with, I'm assuming.
Yes, it has. And again, asbestos, it's a frightening word for a lot of people. But even up into the late 80s, drywall compound contained asbestos. Now it's in minute form. And anything that's solid, non-friable, they call it, that doesn't come up into a dust isn't that dangerous as long as you don't sand it or cut it and create a dust. If it's there, you can leave it alone, it's safe. It's not going to jump out and get you. But if you're disturbing it, that's when it becomes a problem.
And what do you make of these composite decks outside? Hardwoods from the tropical forest, composite?
That's a tough one. I mean,
cedar, what do you
mowing,
like?
See, cedar now is not, cedar's contentious a little bit. The West Coast cedar, everybody loves the cedar.
Contentious because there's not enough left?
Well, because it's not as renewable. It doesn't regrow as quick as something like a bamboo.
Yes.
Composite, See, we're looking at plastics and things that will last forever and be around, but a composite deck is hot in the summer. If you've ever walked out on a composite deck, I mean, you leave footprints of skin. There's a new product coming out that you'll see in the spring that's actually a chemically modified lumber for decks. It's a solid. You can use a solid, regrowing, fast SPF, which is spruce, pine, or fir. That's a treated, and it will last forever. They modify the cells of this stuff, and the only thing left in is a little bit of vinegar.
Really? So you're using a softwood, a spruce pine fir?
Using a softwood, exactly, and it's modified so that chemically modified with existing chemicals that are out there. It's a patented process. It's not out yet. It'll be out in the spring, but it's an amazing product. And that type of thing, using renewable resources that we can make last longer. Nothing worse than putting a cedar deck on. It's beautiful, and you come back after the winter, and it's gray.
Yes, it is gray, but many people like it gray.
Yeah, I like the cedar. If you want it gray, I mean, buy a cheap wood and let it gray. It'll gray a lot faster.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I didn't think about that, but I thought cedar was hardier.
It is
That's
hardy.
a building term, probably not.
It's got a little more longevity. It's high in tannins like
And
red
it
wine.
doesn't splinter.
It can splinter.
Can
I've had
it
a few cedar
splinter?
splinters. A little
Really?
bit. Yeah, not as much. It's a nice wood to work with for sure.
Yeah. What's a bleeding cedar? Is that what they call it? Bleeding?
A bleeding cedar?
It's kind of greeny, bleeding cedar.
A younger cedar? I'm not that sure.
I don't know either.
I'm not that familiar with it.
I may have made that up.
You might have.
I
I'm
could
gonna
have.
have to do some research.
I
when
could
go.
have the term wrong. Yes. Okay. So making TV.
Making TV.
Liking it, loving it. Where does it fit?
I never grew up thinking, one day I want to call home and say, "Hey, Mom, on the telly." It's been a pretty wild ride. Disaster DIY, 96 episodes. This year has been the most insane year of my life. We filmed. I did a little work with Decked Out, Deck Wars. We did some judging there. We're actually going to be doing a deck off, they call it. Team Paul versus Team Bryan. So we have our guys coming in to do a deck off this year. Canada's Handyman Challenge. Shot that for a month, actually with Jillian Harris, who's down at the home show as well. That was great working with Scott and Mike, and we picked some contestants in Vancouver. We headed to Halifax, back to Toronto, and then had the finals in Hamilton. House of Bryan on the rocks, we're calling it, and it is on the rocks. It's not the divorce and the custody
shield,
battle.
On the rocks.
We're doing that.
Well, many couples get divorced when they try to do the reno.
They call it divorce deaths. We're trying to avoid that this year.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. It's a stressful process because it is. You're talking money, you're talking time, you're talking effort, and you're talking opinions too about design.
Sure, and things people absolutely have to have.
Well,
can't live without.
That's a great segue into the other show we're filming. It's called Leave It to Bryan. We've had people that watch House of Bryan, and we get a phone call saying, "I want to be on the show. I really need a man cave, just like you built in your basement." And we get there, and they have curling shingles and single pane glass, and their siding is falling off. And I say, yes, exactly what you need is a drop-down screen and a surround sound system in the basement.
Right.
So that's based on what people want versus what they need versus what's morally and financially responsible to do. So we're having a little fun with that one.
Sure, she wants a new sink. He wants a giant television.
Yes. Or the other way around.
It could be the other way around.
Yeah.
It could be. What have you learned about human nature?
I've learned that people are inherently good. However, they are impatient. They are too frugal for their own good, and they believe everything they see on TV.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, that's one of the first things I tell people is that when you're watching any of the shows on Home and Garden, any reno show, anything, we have a team of editors that help us out, and some things we do are boring. So quite often I'll be approached by someone saying, "I'm a great fan. I learned how to tile watching the show." And I think, oh, I hope you watched all the episodes because there's some boring parts that we don't necessarily feature on the show.
No.
Minor details that could be costly.
Of course. One whole show on tiling, no.
No.
Ratings down.
Exactly. There's got to be some entertainment in it. And I do live in the future on Disaster DIY and other shows. So, I have the ability to look at the rough cuts and say, oh, no. We're always on time. We're always ahead of budget. We're always ahead of schedule. Everything works great. Everybody's happy. But in reality, it's not like that. We try and put a little bit of that into House of Bryan.
They say, that special marble you wanted from Portugal? Still in Portugal.
Still in Portugal. We had that exactly on HOB. We've had a few interesting things happen. So.
I bet you have. So, Vancouver Home and Design Show, the do's and don'ts of home renovation, tomorrow night, 7 p.m.
I'll be there.
Sunday, 1 p.m. You'll be there, and you'll be wandering around anyway. New and upcoming shows, Leave It to Bryan, and House of Bryan, really House of Bryan 2.
House of Bryan too. Yeah, it's more it's the dog house of Bryan.
Great.
That would be great.
Nice to see you. I bet you can build a dog house.
Great to see you. I've built a few in my day. One day we'll get a dog.
Bryan Baeumler.